Honesty, passion, experience. It's Timberwolves Explosion, hosted on the sportstuff.com. And now, your host, Paladino Joey. Hello again, Timberwolves fans. Are you ready for the explosion of Timberwolves basketball? I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Timberwolves Explosion is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio. I think it was popping up just as the last show came out. So that, one for 8,378 episode. Yeah, that's what I called it. iHeartRadio, Spotify, which is a wonderful, wonderful Android and Apple app, and TuneIn Radio, and of course the other outlets that have been mentioned in the past. Maybe I'll have a list just like the wonderful Courtside podcast does. Mr. Henry McCoy. No, I'm kidding. Mr. Wayne Hunt. So, there's a reason why I drew out the Timberwolves explosion segment of this introduction. Well, yeah. Who's left? I don't know. Since in the last month, the Minnesota Timberwolves have traded away 9 players. And since the beginning of Gerson Rosas coming on board, there are only 2 players remaining. That would be Karl Anthony Towns and Josh Okogie. And yesterday, the whole talk about when I was kind of in behind the scenes, in between the show, I was really looking forward to talking about the Robert Covington trade, the 5-player blockbuster, that it was a trade leading to another trade. It was. I was dead accurate. I did something right, because it was like, there's no point guard, though. I mean, once I saw Napier included in the deal to Denver, I was like, something's happening here. They're gonna get a point guard. Could it be the guy they've been chasing all this time and the guy I've been kind of hot and cold on? Super excited about last summer, around the free agency special, getting all excited about that. Winds up with the Warriors, that guy. Would have been a cool thing. And then I was like, you look at his salary, that's too freaking much, and he's just all offense and blah 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 blah. But then all of a sudden, it does happen. The Minnesota Timberwolves, right as I'm getting ready for work, around 12:15 p.m. Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. You know what that is? The ESPN alert. The Minnesota Timberwolves acquire the much sought after Golden State Warriors point guard for a couple months, D'Angelo Russell. Ladies and gentlemen, it happened. And of course, the trade included the much maligned, but a guy I like and I'm gonna miss. I'm gonna miss him, Andrew Wiggins. Yep, the silent assassin will now be a silent assassin for my most hated team. So that's really unfortunate. Timberwolves also give up a protected 2021 first-round pick. So we get to keep our pick this year, which will most likely be lottery, and a 2021 second-round pick. So depending on how things go, maybe the Timberwolves are in the lottery again next year. So the draft would then, that draft pick would drop to 2022, so to speak, until eventually that's when the pick would be unprotected. So let's get better quickly with our starting point guard. There is so much to get to, it's not even funny. Of course, I'm going to go over the trades, both of them. And of course, even you could rehash a bit on the Jeff Teague trade, as that was interesting too, including Trevion Graham. Wasn't that like the last episode? No, it was like 2 episodes ago. For Alan Crabb, who hasn't done anything so far, for his $19 million contract, and in his contract year, he's not doing a whole lot to, get that same amount again. I'm sure he's going to be back either here or in the NBA again next year, but he's not going to get 18.6 again. Kentavious Caldwell Pope. Oh wait, yeah, same type of situation there. But boy, yes, we have games to review. You know what? You know what I say about those games? This is what I say about those games.
All right, fuck the game.
That's about it, because it's going to be focused on the trade deadline and all that. We'll even go over some of the other trades in the NBA. So this first segment is going to be trade deadline special. It's, screw the games, because you know what? As the AVGN, that's who you were hearing right there. He said the F word. I won't say that right now on this show. Probably not a good idea. I'd like to keep it somewhat family-oriented. But there's just so many trades to get to, and so many players to talk about, this and that. Some of them more interesting than others, of course. Yes, the Timberwolves have a starting point guard. We don't have to go into the draft and, oh boy, I hope we can get a starting point guard here, because it doesn't always work out, or it takes 3 to 5 freaking years for the guy to pan out sometimes. Sometimes they pan out in 2 or 3, D'Angelo, who didn't have a great start with the Lakers. But he's a Minnesota Timberwolf. He's going to wear 0, like Agent Zero, that type of thing. Jeff Teague wearing double 0 with the Hawks looks weird. I'd rather he just wears 0. So we'll have a point guard wearing 0 again, which is funny. That's not going to change. We'll go over the numbers and such as well. Just it's like I almost don't even know where to begin at the end of the day. But we're not going to talk about the upcoming, or we're not going to talk about the past games, though we will talk a little bit about the frustration of what took place in those games. Is Karl Anthony Towns seemed to have basically lost it. He was upset about the Covington trade, and it's one of his best friends and on the team and all that. Actually, his best friend on the team. Now he's got a new best friend on the team, I would have to say, considering the circumstances going into last summer, how badly he was hoping to get D'Angelo on the roster. And some people are thinking Devin Booker's next. Let's pump our brakes on that. If it happens, it happens. But, I mean, let's just be happy where we're at so far. And let the chips fall where they may after that, at the end of the day. But during the past week, a lot of people definitely turning on Karl Anthony Towns, and understandably so. I mean, I'm one of them out there. A lot of the media members, young media members, young fans, this and that, couldn't believe what Karl was saying. Basically, he's frustrated and all that. Yeah, we get that part. But it's like, it's kind of on you, too. You can't just basically go lackadaisical out there against Atlanta, basically not even try for 3 quarters. Because what were people complaining about with Andrew Wiggins for so long? Karl started being like Andrew Wiggins out there. In fact, you could say he was worse. Just kind of pouting, complaining to the refs, and that's about it. And that had kind of been the story. So I'm not going to let him off the hook. I'm still going to get into it, even though this story can overlap it in a big way, and it kind of is going to. But I will not let him get away with it. I will not let him get away with it. There'll be a couple of awards at the end of the show, of course. Or end of the segment, the same Alpha Wolf and Johnny Flynn Memorial. Yeah, that's still going to happen at the end of this segment. As long as it might be. I have no idea how long it's going to be, because I'll get to the trades here in just a couple of seconds. But again, we can't let Karl get away with what he did out there the past several games here. We can't let him get away with the fact he hasn't won a home game with the Timberwolves since November 13th. We can't let him get away with the fact that he's lost like 17 straight games as a member of the Timberwolves so far in the starting lineup and all that. We can't let him get away with that. And I don't know, that Atlanta game, I get the roster was completely depleted after the Covington trade. It was kind of like, who's left? But easily, you can do better than that at home against the Atlanta Hawks. I think that Hawks team is going to be pretty fat with a PH, though, in the next couple of years. Oh, man. And I love who they got. And I kind of wish the Timberwolves got that guy back, but that might have complicated things leading into this trade. It was a David Kahn-style deal where it was a trade leading to another trade. But this one actually had a destination where David Kahn, the destination was never there. It was just trade to trade to trade to trade to trade to trade to trade. But where's the final destination, David? Hello? Oh, no, that's kind of where it was. Gerson Rosas, you got the feeling he swung and missed on the point guard in the draft, Darius Garland, and all that. And obviously son of Winston Garland and the former Timberwolves, believe it or not, for a little cup of coffee here. That was kind of a fun season, though, believe it or not. And he did well, did Winston. But we swung and missed on Darius Garland. You got Culver, who I think shows signs of this and that, but then shows signs of it's going to be a little while. But there's definitely signs. He's got some mental toughness. I'm thrilled that he was not included in this D'Angelo Russell trade. That was one of the reasons I was like, I don't want him, because I figured Culver would be gone. And I figured trading Wiggins would be extremely hard to do. But we'll get back to that in a couple minutes as well. What I think might happen with Andrew in Golden State. It's going to be interesting, as an old friend once said. It's actually said several times back in the day. It's going to be interesting. But Hawks team's going to be very good in that huge 4-team Covington trade that led to other trades and oh boy. But no, the lack of effort against the Hawks was extremely frustrating. Sacramento game, it's like this and that. You see the same complaining, you see the same bad defense in most of these games, though actually I'd say it's a little bit better. At least the lack of points given up was improved. That's good. It's not like we're giving up 129 every night like we did to Wayno's Memphis Grizzlies, so I do think we'll get better, and they got a certain Timberwolf as well. A couple of them anyway. We'll get back to that again. I keep going back and forth. Let's get to the damn trades, okay? Let's just get to the damn trades. I keep stumbling over myself because I want to get to the damn trades, but still I had to say something about Karl Anthony Towns, and we'll get to that probably a million more times this year if he keeps screwing around. So leading back into earlier in the winter here, we'll just go back. We'll just go through all of them. And I'm not going to comment about everything and take 2 hours with the show like we used to with me and Marcus, the forecaster, back in the day. Marcus, as quiet as he was pretty long-winded, and he's the greatest guy ever. And he's an intelligent basketball mind. It's just, sometimes we kind of went back and forth too much and needed to move on. So, which is what I need to get onto now. The Jazz ended up getting Jordan Clarkson from Cleveland. Again, this is about a month ago, if I remember correctly, for Exum and picks. So to think absolutely nothing happened. Dante Exum, who actually was pretty damn good against the Wolves right about that time. It's amazing. Nothing actually happened between basically this past week, or like about a week ago now, and the Dante Exum trade. So it was awfully quiet because teams are gearing up and getting ready. Gotta tell you, see, this trade, probably fairly easy to consummate. Obviously, the Timberwolves traded away Jeff Teague and Trevion Graham to the Atlanta Hawks for Alan Crabb. Again, this is actually a couple weeks ago already, if you can believe it. But to think nothing happened in between those two trades, pretty crazy. But when you look at what was consummated yesterday, it'll go down as one of the most interesting and fascinating trade deadlines of all time. And I would say it is the most fascinating Timberwolves trade deadline of all time. The second most fascinating one was very depressing because it was Stephon Marbury going out. There were all kinds of rumors maybe we might have gotten Sam Cassell, which probably would have been good. We would have gotten him a couple years earlier and maybe made a run or two, which would have been very exciting at the end of the day. So that one's done. Sacramento Kings, this is a couple days ago. I remember Trevor Ariza going to Portland, Wayne Gabriel, Caleb Swanigan, all going to the Trailblazers from Sacramento for Kent Bazemore and Anthony Tolliver, 2 second-round picks. Anthony Tolliver, as we saw cheering on the sidelines for Sacramento the other night, I'm like, oh, what's he doing there? And it's like, oh, that's right. He was part of the Blazers trade. So West Coast trade there. Justin Patton, General Justin Patton, who I wish the son of a gun panned out. I don't know if I talked about this in the last show, but I wish this guy panned out so bad because I'm going to say this for the rest of time. The rest of the time, Karl Anthony Towns is a member of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm talking too fast and my mind's bouncing. But the rest of the time, I'm just too excited today. I don't know why. Honestly, let's win a bleeping game first, right? Justin Patton. Just imagine if he panned out. Because he's a big, bruising center type of guy who can block some shots. That's what I want next to Karl Anthony Towns. So Karl, and this whole talk of why would you take Justin Patton and he's going to play like 12 minutes a night. What a wasted pick. Because he's going to have to play behind Karl. Why? Why does he have to play behind Karl? Do you realize most of you listening understand this, but some of you might not agree. Some of you might not see it this way or anything. Karl Anthony Towns needs to play power forward full time. Full-time power forward, no more center. Maybe just a little touch of center here and there in certain lineups and this and that, but not very much. Karl Anthony Towns as a power forward would be free. He'd be blocking shots. He'd get more rebounds. He'd be able to do his stretch four thing, but I think he'd be more aggressive to the basket as well. Justin Patton was acquired for Isaiah Roby and cash. So I guess cash consideration still exists here and there. Willie Cauley-Stein is also going to the Dallas Mavericks in another trade from the Golden State hated Warriors for a 2020 second-round pick from the Utah Jazz. So there you go. The Golden State Warriors, that's their first involvement leading up into the trade deadline and all that. So now here's the day before, a couple of days before the trade deadline, the big, fat, huge trade that led to multiple trades after that. And a certain center that went to the Hawks, I think he's going to be awesome. They're going to be an awesome team. I really do. You got Cam Reddish, you got Trae Young, you got Hunter, you got Collins, you got Teague. Okay, Teague's a nice backup point guard, I think, for them. I think he'll be good. But Clint Capella in the middle to go with those guys. Clint Capella, the Houston Rockets, Clint Capella. Honestly, I don't know what the Rockets are doing other than getting Robert Covington was good. Jordan Bell will help. But Clint Capella, Timberwolves end up trading away. I still can't even believe the number. 5 bleeping players in this trade that led to other trades. It was like a giant redwood tree branching out into other branches, just branching out to other trades. That just kept going. That would sprout smaller branches, like limbs and branches. You could go on forever. This was a trade tree. I'm telling you, man. Timberwolves made some interesting acquisitions, at least one, but maybe 2. And, of course, actually 3 when you include the 2020 first rounder from the Nets. That's lottery protected. So if the Brooklyn Nets are in the lottery, we got to wait a year. But it's a nice asset, the draft pick, not necessarily for trading, but to just get another, player. Maybe you can get a Justin Patton that stays healthy. Wouldn't that be nice? Maybe you can get a Clint Capella type or something. I mean, it doesn't have to be the third overall pick in the draft, especially these days where everybody wants guards that shoot three-pointers or forwards that shoot three-pointers or this and that. How about a nice shot-blocking, rebounding, double-double threat like Clint Capella to go alongside Karl Anthony Towns? Wouldn't that be fun? 12 players were involved in this massive trade that led to other trades, or kind of side deals here and there. 4-team ditty with the Houston Rockets, Atlanta Hawks, Minnesota Timberwolves, Denver Nuggets. What a bleeping mess. What a mess, but a beautiful trade. I can't imagine how long this took. I can't even imagine how long this trade took to consummate. Because, just think about it. Not only do you have to want the player, this particular team has to want the player. The salaries have to be close, maybe not exact match. It has to be an exact match if you're over the cap, which certain teams are, I'm sure. I'm sure the Wolves are. Yeah, of course. It's not easy to do this type of stuff. So you can get all the salary to match, but then you're like, yeah, I don't want that guy, though. I thought I'd rather have this other player, or I don't really want to give this guy up. And you could go on for days with that. Just days, weeks. God, it'd be exhausting. Imagine Marcus the forecaster consummating a trade like this. He'd be like, nah, because Marcus always second guesses, like, nah, he'd be a tough guy to trade with, boy. Yep, he's definitely a wizard when it comes to that type of stuff. But he would give people a hard time. So at the end of the day, the Houston Rockets get Robert Covington and Jordan Bell from the Timberwolves and a 2024 second-round pick from the Golden State Warriors. All right. Atlanta Hawks get 2 centers, Clint Capella and Nene. We used to call him Nene Hilario. I guess it's just Nene. And then the Hawks waived him, which I think if there's an opening, a small little opening, I think the Wolves should consider that. Not that he's this great player, but, when you look at some of these other guys on the Wolves roster that are going to play power forward, which I think might be better because they're bigger than Covington, this and that. They're younger and all that too. But I don't know. Maybe you get a big Nene to plug the middle and help Karl a little bit in certain lineups. I don't think that would hurt too much. So that's a thing. That's something I would consider. But we'll see. Timberwolves, we'll get back to them last because that's just how it's going to be. Denver Nuggets wind up with Gerald Green, Keita Bates-Diop, Shabazz Napier, and Noah Vonleh. So again, 5 Timberwolves leaving. Pardon me. Jordan Bell and Noah Vonleh, and Shabazz Napier was the surprise when it was added in. Keita Bates-Diop. It just kept slowly coming out from Woj, where he's like, oh yeah, this guy was also added. Now he's going to Denver. So the trade was consummated, but it's just more details were coming out because it was so darn big. Gerald Green, who's been moving around all over the place. He's out of Houston now. He'd been there for a couple of years. He's going to the Nuggets. That should be fun. Keita Bates-Diop already gone from the Timberwolves. Kind of sad, but after those multiple fouls beyond the three-point line, that made me want to, pop a blood vessel. I was irate about that. Shabazz Napier, who provided some really nice energy via off the bench or via starting after Jeff Teague was moved to the bench and ultimately traded. And you can also see why a certain tall guy that I love very much with the Wolves was not playing as much. I can see why now. We'll get back to that later. But I know Vonleh not getting any time with the Wolves either, along with Jordan Bell. They get to move on. I'm sure they were not happy with that situation, so they get a chance to hopefully get some more minutes. Shabazz Napier getting traded to the Nuggets was the eyebrow raiser for me. They ultimately get a 2020 first-round pick from the Rockets, which, it'd be in the mid-20s or something like that. But that was the eyebrow raiser, and that was the last player I saw included in this trade, this big, massive 12-player trade that just blew my mind. It just blew my mind, man. When Shabazz Napier was traded, and you saw no real guards, like point guards, coming back to the Wolves, I was like, my eyebrows went up. I'm like, something's happening here. Do you not see the situation? Jordan McLaughlin's going to get extended minutes with the Wolves? Jordan McLaughlin. No disrespect. I kind of like him. But I actually kind of like him a little bit. But he's the kind of guy, he's kind of a fill-in type of guy. He's not he's not a guy you want to get major minutes. He's not a rotation player necessarily. Maybe as he gets a little bit better. But my eyebrows were up. My antenna was up. Something's going on. There's going to be another trade. You got 48 hours to go here till trade deadline. Something's going to happen. And then I just kind of, here comes the trade deadline day. Nothing's happening all day. And then, okay, a couple little trades here and there, a couple little kibbles and bits, this and that. Interesting trades here and there. Nothing spectacular right out of the gate. And then there's talk about, okay, the Wolves and this D'Angelo Russell thing that they've been pushing forever. this was a sign that they gave both teams had just kind of given up the ghost, like we're going to move on. Maybe we'll come back to it in the summer, whatever, this and that. And then there's talk maybe the Wolves will get Dennis Smith Jr. in facilitating a trade with the Knicks, and I can't even remember who now. I can't remember who the other team was. I'm blanking now. I apologize. It'll probably pop up here somewhere. But but it's one of those trades that didn't happen, so to speak, you could say. At least that part of it. But, yeah, that might be the backup plan. Dennis Smith Jr., okay, we'll see what happens. My mind's blank. I'm kind of tired after doing Brave the Wild. Very long show yesterday. My mind was just shut down. I was thinking about, other things, getting ready for work. I kind of just zone out. And then as I'm getting back up from a very small nap, very short nap, all of a sudden, it's like, okay, there's all these trades. My phone's been acting up during the course of the last couple hours, couple days too, and I don't know why, where the alerts just kind of get stuck somewhere, and then they all come out at once. And then it's like, blockbuster deal, Wolves blockbuster deal. And I'm thinking, that's just the other trade, though. Like, that's just a review of the Robert Covington trade, right? And then I'm like, whoa. I saw the name D'Angelo Russell tied to it. One of them was The Athletic, and I'm like, what's going on here? And then I look closer, the trade alert that D'Angelo Russell had been acquired from the Wolves about 20 minutes ago. I'm like thinking, how did I miss this? Oh my God. So that was damn exciting at the end of the day. So very exciting a couple of hours leading up to this one. And of course, now let's talk about who the Wolves got in the big, giant, huge, consummated trade with the 4-team deal. Malik Beasley, who could be very interesting, a shooting guard who can shoot a bit. He's had some moments. He was a reasonable pick, and a lot of people actually think he's got some pretty nice potential. He has got a qualifying offer leading into the offseason. He was the 19th pick in the 2016 draft. He's only 23 years of age, so he's a year younger than Wiggins and Towns. 6'4", so definitely not a large guy, but he is a shooting guard, not a point guard. So the shooting guard position is going to be a little bit filled up. The small forward position is in, oh boy. I don't know about the small forward position with the Timberwolves right now. I'm a little bit worried about that, to be quite honest. So now I'm shifting back and forth here. I apologize. But Malik Beasley could at very least be a very exciting rotational guy. Looks like he could be the starting shooting guard right away for the Timberwolves. So very interesting. Is it Juancho or Juan Herman Gomez? Interesting power forward with some strength and some energy, some toughness. Evan Turner, Kermit the Frog guy. Okay, I know that's mean to say, but a little bit. He sounds like him a little bit. A guy I was very, very, very high on in the draft years ago, and he just did not pan out. He had some good moments with the Celtics, with the Pacers. Wasn't getting a whole lot of burn with the Atlanta Hawks this last year, and he's making as much as Allen Crabbe, averaging about 5 points a game. But he's got some leadership skills. He's a good defender, this and that. He could help a little bit. I don't know if he's going to replace Robert Covington, and he's also an expiring with 18.6 coming off the books. So very interesting there, where the Timberwolves could be definitely shaving some salary in the summer, depending on how things happen. Even if you bring Evan Turner back, probably won't have to be $18 million again. Jared Vanderbilt, less than $2 million a year. Very interesting flyer on a guy who was a draft pick that some people think could be something. A second-round pick. Definitely got some ability. Some people see his athleticism. He's only 20 years old, skinny guy, 6'9". Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of sample size on him yet, but of course, again, good, solid player for the Kentucky Wildcats. Just very recently, and maybe came out of the draft a little too early. That's the one thing, but he's definitely a guy to take a flyer on and give a shot. I think he's an intriguing addition to the Timberwolves roster, and hopefully he gets some burn. And with with the young coach involved, I think he will get some time rather than again, Tom Thibodeau or Rick Adelman. The guy'd never see the light of day. That's the problem, and that would screw up his career. That's too bad. But luckily, that will not be the case for Jared Vanderbilt. And again, the Minnesota Timberwolves get the 2020 first rounder from the Brooklyn Nets. That's lottery protected. So that's that massive, massive, massive trade. Everybody's gone, right? Dwayne Redmond is going to the Hawks along with 2 second-round picks, 2020 and 2021. Sacramento Kings get Jabari Parker, who's becoming a journeyman now, and he'd been injured recently with a shoulder. Alex Len also leads the Hawks. Interesting. So, of course, you got Clint Capella. Alex Len wasn't going to get a whole lot of time with those other very talented big men involved, especially Clint Capella, who I wish was on the Wolves right now. But you can't have them all, right? Alex Len going to the Sacramento Kings. That's an intriguing team if Jabari Parker can bleep and stay healthy. At least it wasn't an E this time, poor guy. Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson III leaving the Warriors. He'd been a member of the Pacers and other clubs after leaving the Timberwolves. Timberwolves traded him away, if I remember correctly. Alec Burks going to the Philadelphia 76ers with Glenn Robinson III. Golden State Warriors acquiring some second-round picks here. 2020 from Dallas, 2021 from Denver, and 2022 from Toronto. Jeez, enough second-rounders from the Sixers there. I like second-round picks. It's cool to have flyers on guys. It's just the unfortunate part is if you don't have a whole lot of cap space and the guy ends up being a decent player, you might lose him. Look what happened to the Warriors many, many years ago with Agent Zero, as they called him. He had so much money the Warriors were able to give him when he kind of blew up and he wound up with the Wizards. That's how much money they were able to give him. Andre Iguodala already on his way out of Memphis. This was a pretty big trade involving multiple teams. Minnesota Timberwolves wind up with James Johnson. James Johnson, a bit of a tough guy, 32 years of age. Could be that veteran in the room, kind of like Irvin Johnson years ago, but certainly not as tall, because almost no centers are tall anymore. They're all like 6'9". You know, it's like, what the hell? Whatever happened to 7-foot centers these days? And all the 7-foot guys want to be three-point shooters, or shooting guards, basically. Karl Anthony Towns. Wayne Hunt not happy about this trade because he's losing Jay Crowder, but then again, he's happy about the acquisition of a certain former Timberwolves. We'll get to that in a second. Andre Iguodala, Jay Crowder, and Solomon Hill going to the Miami Heat. Nice group of veterans and solid player in Jay Crowder. Memphis Grizzlies wind up with Justice Winslow from the Heat. James Johnson, who ultimately got moved to Minnesota. Dion Waiters, yeah, that's a guy who's moved around a bit and he's got some energy, spark plug player, obviously. And Gorgui Gieng. Gorgui Gieng is gone. Gorgui's gone. That's, I guess, why he wasn't playing a whole lot the last few days. Because they figured, hey, you know, if he gets hurt, we're screwed. And, well, this can definitely open up salary quite a bit here with the Timberwolves. They're getting flexible here. We're to a point where Chris Hine and Michael Rand on Timberwolves Talk were saying how basically the Minnesota Timberwolves could get to a point here with enough creativity. They could have a third max player on the roster. That's how flexible things are becoming already with the salary situation. And, of course, the loss of Andrew Wiggins in the D'Angelo Russell trade. Atlanta Hawks get Derek Walton Jr. for cash considerations from the Clippers, I guess. Memphis Grizzlies now get Jordan Bell, so he's already gone from Houston for Jordan Bell and a second-round pick going to the Grizzlies. So there you go, another Timberwolf there. Bruno Caboclo and a second-round pick to the Rockets. Interesting. Here's another name that's going to be tough. I'm going to butcher it, so we'll give it our best effort here. Skal Labissere. I think I got it. Skal Labissere and cash considerations to the Atlanta Hawks from the Portland Trailblazers for a future protected second-round pick. A protected second-round pick? Okay, that's interesting. Orlando Magic at James Ennis III for a second-round pick from the 76ers. And we'll get to the massive, exciting trade for the Wolves in a second here. I'm going to jump ahead temporarily. Andre Drummond on his way out. A lot of people were hoping he could come here, but you can't trade everybody. All your chips are gone. And, you know, certain players, you can't just trade them again right away. I don't even know how that works sometimes. But I guess it's something with the salary caps and this and that. Certain players like D'Angelo Russell could not come to the Wolves right away after the Warriors acquired him. It just couldn't happen. You had to wait the 6 months and all that. But then you get James Johnson going from the Grizzlies to the Wolves right away. So I guess Andre Drummond to the Cavs for John Henson, Brandon Knight, and a 2023 second-rounder, lesser of Cleveland's or Golden State. So it's the lower of those two, depending on the situation. Interesting there. Jerome Robinson's going to the the Wizards for Maurice Harkless. Is a 3-team trade here. Maurice Harkless on a 2020 first-round pick, a second-round pick via Detroit to the Knicks. Marcus Morris Sr., and Isaiah Thomas to the Clippers. Interesting. Very interesting indeed right there. Marcus Morris to the Clippers. Very interesting. And Isaiah Thomas, spark plug. That's some good players there going to the Clippers. That team's getting ready to compete against the other LA team, the Battle of Los Angeles, as they're going to call it in late May. I got a feeling. I really got a feeling there. So the Warriors and the Timberwolves in their blockbuster trade. Andrew Wiggins, a 2021 top 3 protected first-round pick. So even if it's the 4th pick in the draft, the Warriors would get it. That's funny. So it's just protected from the top 3. So it's not that protected. And a 2021 second-round pick. So if the Wolves stink real bad, but don't get the third pick basically next year, oh boy, Warriors will get that pick. That'll hurt. So get better soon, Wolves. Get better right away. Timberwolves acquired D'Angelo Russell, Jacob Evans, and Omari Spellman. A couple of pieces added on board. We'll look at them for a couple of seconds, if humanly possible. It's just not a whole lot of sample size yet. Jacob Evans is another one of those 6'4" guards. A little bit of muscle on him, coming from the Warriors. About 5 points, a rebound and a half, an assist. So at least he averages a full assist. He's a shooting guard who can shoot a little bit, I guess. He shot well against the Clippers this year. Good for him there. 34% from downtown, 32 overall in 57 games from downtown. That's a big thing with the shooting guards these days. You're hoping they can hit the three-point shot. His field goal percentage has been horrendous. 34% basically for his career. So, okay, we'll see what happens there. So, God bless Jacob Evans. Hopefully it can work out. He was a late first-round pick who hasn't panned out so great just yet. But we'll see. 2018, only 22 years of age, plenty of time. I consider him a developmental guy, and if he's not so good, you don't really see a whole lot of promise out of him, then it is what it is, that type of thing. That's what Brent Jacobson was asking me via text yesterday around the time of this trade, when I didn't even realize these guys were included. They just pop up like several hours after the whole thing. The Wolves got D'Angelo Russell for Wiggins and some picks. And it's like, well, there was other players involved. Go ahead and brush them to the side, I guess. But, it's nice to know. It's nice to know that these guys were also acquired. Thank you, Brent Jacobson, for passing that on to me, because I might it would have slipped through the cracks, but eventually I would have caught onto it, especially looking through, I suppose. Omari Spellman also added on board, another 6 foot. Well, he's only 6'8" here. I thought he was 6'9" from Villanova. Kind of like that. He was the 30th pick in the draft for Atlanta in 2018. So 2 first-round picks at the end of the first round. Those kind of guys who still got to guarantee them some money, and maybe, hopefully, there's something. They're kind of like glorified second-round picks in a way. But Spellman's done some stuff so far in the league. He's averaging about 8 points and 4.5 rebounds. That's not too bad. He's got some muscle on him, 245 for a 6'8" guy. Got a little muscle, some size. He's shooting 40% from downtown. 40%, or okay, 39. There, I'm being honest now. 39%. He can rebound a little bit. His defense is okay. This one could be good. This one could be a good acquisition for the Timberwolves. Hopefully it works out. Just wish he was a little taller, because every power forward on the Wolves roster is not tall. They're just not. But 39% in his first career, 95 games, that's enough of a sample size, averaging about 18 minutes a game consistently throughout his entire career, including this season. 36.5%, so almost 37% from downtown. Field goal percentage in the low 40s, so don't get too excited about the overall shooting, which is annoying for a bigger guy, but it is what it is. Hopefully he can. But that's what happens when you're a little shorter playing against a bunch of trees, possibly. I mean, going up against a DeAndre Jordan type of guy or something. But not bad. Of course, the Warriors have struggled mightily this year. They're the only team in the Western Conference with a worse record than the Timberwolves thus far this year. But, okay, Omari Spellman, go get him. Hopefully that works out at the end of the day. It's going to be, it's going to be very interesting, as I like to say. You look over the Wolves roster now. Again, you add James Johnson and such. Who's going to start, who isn't? Well, we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to jump into that in a second. This is still showing the old lineup. That's irritating. Oh, I went to stats. That's kind of dumb. You look over the lineup, though, and you just see a completely different roster. Malik Beasley will wear number 25. Of course, Crabbe number 9. Jacob Evans, they're saying number 10. Juan Hernan Gomez will wear number 41. Some people see him as the starting power forward, for now. Jacob Evans, interesting piece, but his numbers don't add up to a guy who'll be here for very long unless things change a little bit. Hopefully they do. James Johnson is bringing in $15 million a year. He'll be wearing number 16. 6'9" guy who's been very solid throughout his career. He's a tough guy who nobody wants to mess with, that type of thing. He's an MMA guy, if you can believe it. He's only 6'7", but obviously got the strength, the toughness, all that. He can even hit a 3 or 2 here and there. He can rebound decently, but not as well as others. I kind of like the Spellman acquisition. I kind of do. Omari Spellman. James Johnson has played in 620 games throughout his career. His field goal percentage is very high. Plays closer to the basket. Toughness, this and that. So he'll be a nice acquisition, at least for the time being. Again, traded to the Timberwolves in a 3-team deal with the Grizz and the Heat, the Haitians, for Gorgui Gieng. Gorgui Gieng, again, on his way out. $16.4 million on its way out for a guy who's a little bit less. 32 years old, though. Neither one of them is a young guy. And God bless Gorgui Gieng. We'll talk about him in the second segment a bit. So can you see why I'm not even talking about the games? I'm already over 35 minutes in this segment. That's insane. Jake Layman's been out since the 80s, again with a toe injury, so that's where I'm frustrated. Keelan Martin started at power forward the other night. I was just blown away. Like, what the hell is this crap? It's no wonder we lost to the Hawks. Just my concerns going into this. Obviously, I'm very excited about Russell. To me, he doesn't stand out as the super-duper star, so I'm a little concerned about that, but he'll bring energy. He'll put fans in the seats. He'll bring the TV ratings up on Fox Sports North and God knows what else, depending on national and all that, national TV and that. Josh Okogie's still a factor. But the small forward and power forward positions, to me, are very much up in the air. I mean, really up in the air at the end of the day. So I'm very concerned there. Hopefully one of these young guys can emerge as a starting power forward or center, which is what I'd highly prefer, actually. That's what I'd like. I wish the Wolves got like a legitimate guy who could play center and move Towns over to power forward. I'm not talking about a star, but a guy who can start and plug the middle and provide some toughness. Maybe James Johnson can do that, but at 6'7", I don't know. And I know it's today's NBA where everybody's smaller. I don't necessarily agree with all that. I like 6'11", 7-foot guys in the center position if possible. I think it's better sometimes, especially if it's going to involve shot blocking. But am I crazy about this trade and the acquisitions? Not necessarily, but it does pump new life into this team. I'm excited about the changes. I think it's interesting. And a team that's lost double-digit games in a row multiple times this season, changes needed to be made. And you don't make many more changes than this. This is about as much of a change as you can get. Some of these guys came from winning organizations. Some of them did not. The Warriors had been a winning organization until this year. The Hawks haven't been winning for a while, but they're a greatly improving team who probably wanted to clear some space for other players. Beasley is a very interesting acquisition. He's the second most exciting out of the whole group, of course. And D'Angelo Russell is, again, going to put fans in the seats. He's going to make everybody watch FSN next time the first time he's available. It's going to be very exciting. He can hit the three. He's not elite from three-point range, but he can certainly get hot. He can go out for 50. He can set other players up, and he's a way better fit for Karl Anthony Towns than any point guard he's had throughout his NBA career thus far. So definitely a very exciting day for the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's just, you wish the Timberwolves had a legitimate center/power forward who could plug the middle. Naz Reid's got the size, but he plays like a bleeping shooting guard, which is annoying. It's annoying. Play like a power forward. Use your three-point shot, but don't make it like 90% of your freaking game. That's what I'm worried about. He's out there, 264 pounds, just kind of hit. Yep, just kind of, soaring around he's just kind of soaring around the arc the whole game. Naz Reid plugged the middle, damn it. And you could probably have a very successful career with that power and strength that he does have out of LSU. Naz Reid, I want him plugged in the middle a little bit. Go ahead and launch some threes here and there, but luckily he's only 20 years of age, and hopefully his game will continue to develop. With that said, it's been a very long segment. Almost can't stop, can I? I almost can't stop because it's too many acquisitions. And again, do you see why? I didn't talk about a single game. Because they're irrelevant at this point, other than, well, it sucks. And the losing streak is just getting worse and worse, and Karl made an ass of himself after last game. There's no question about that. He made an absolute ass of himself. And, I mean, there's no defending him. If you want to defend him, take those damn shades off and take the take the red pill. Take the blue pill and throw it out the window and take the red pill and wake up a little bit. Stop blindly following everybody that doesn't deserve it sometimes. Small forward position, I'm very, very much, I don't know who our small forward is. We have like 9 shooting guards who are all kind of undersized. Derek Culver's too skinny. Beasley's only 6'4". He cannot play small forward. I do not want Culver at small forward, even though I guess he might be the de facto guy. Okogie's only 6'4". So that's the only crappy part. As I wrap things up, I'm wishing Andrew Wiggins the best with the Golden State Warriors, because I almost didn't even get to this. I'm wishing Andrew Wiggins the best with the Golden State Warriors. I am. He absolutely will be playing a starting role. He's going to be he's going to be like a third wheel type of guy, third option, as they say, with the team. That could still be a massive factor. I hate the Warriors with a passion. Everybody knows that. That's listened to the show and knows me off the mic. But with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, I think they're going to whip that guy into shape, literally, like mentally into shape. And I do believe Andrew Wiggins will be in an environment where he's going to succeed. I do believe that. I think Steve Kerr is going to get him to be a better three-point shooter. He's going to hit that corner shot that he was good at. What was it, the left corner? That's where his specialty has been. Now, of course, if you only have one shot, that's going to kill you. But if he can get good at those corner threes on a consistent basis and maybe, top of the arc, that type of stuff, catch and shoot threes, and use some of that athleticism at times when given the opportunity, when given a lane, this and that, Andrew Wiggins is going to succeed with the Golden State Warriors. That's my belief. I think his defense will get better too. Those big-name players that have won rings are going to whip him into shape. Steve Kerr, how many rings does he have as a player now and as a coach? So he's got 7, because I know he won 3 in a row with the Bulls in the second three-peat. He won 1 with the Spurs, and now 3 with the Warriors. So he's got 7 rings total. He's got a box. He can't wear them all. He's got a box, unless he wants them on multiple hands. But that's a big box of rings there for Steve Kerr. I don't like the last 3 he's won very much because I don't like the Warriors a whole lot, but it is what it is. It's going to help Andrew Wiggins. It's probably a tough day for him. He probably figured he'd be in Minnesota for a very, very long time. Moving sucks, but hey, you're going to Northern California, and you're going to play with an organization that's going to get the best out of you. So God bless Andrew Wiggins. I wish him only the best. Mitchell Wiggins, a 1 in a billion chance if he's listening, because I know my sister-in-law met him at Costco like a year or 2 ago, right before he signed the huge contract, literally like days before, which is funny. So Mitchell probably knew what was going on about that. He probably had a pretty good idea how much money was coming his son's way. 1 in a million chance that he's listening. Wishing you all the best. Wishing all you guys the best in Northern California. I just hope the Warriors don't win another championship. But if they do, God bless Andrew Wiggins. That's the one guy on the team I'll be rooting for. Because there's always a couple guys on a team you'll be rooting for, even if it's a team you don't like. There's a couple guys. Like, I'm glad he got a ring. I'm glad it worked out for him. So that's what will happen with Andrew Wiggins. Good luck, Andrew. God bless. So let's wrap up the segment with the awards. This is going to get even more long-winded probably now. The Alpha Wolf Award to this show, there's only one guy it can go to. And I mean, he deserves it with heaps of glory and respect, considering the frustration he'd been through since taking over the job. It's striking out with this guy, striking out with that guy. Yeah, talking trades over, but that would be Gerson Rosas. I mean, he is Alpha Wolf with a bullet. He's the strongest Alpha Wolf for this show in quite a long time. Gerson Rosas, to be able to be creative enough to pull off these trades, he did a hell of a job, and good for him. A lot of people thought Andrew Wiggins was untradeable, but he did it. He got it done, and the Warriors were intrigued enough. And the Warriors must see something. They must believe they can help him out, and I think they can. Some people believe that Andrew Wiggins 2 years from now will be on another team. He'll be on Toronto or Memphis or Miami or something. The Warriors are going to get mad and get frustrated and move on with him after that. But and then the next team will think they can work on the project. But I don't know. I'm not 100% with that. I think Wiggins is going to have I think he's going to have some success in Golden State. That's just my opinion. Johnny Flynn Memorial has to only go to one guy as well, and it's a guy that made an ass of himself the past few days, and that's Karl Anthony Towns. So I said enough. This is about 45 minutes. Huge first segment. I've never done one this long, except maybe on State of the Timberwolves. But with these type of trades, it's not going to be a short show. It's impossible. So now I got to preview a few games. We'll probably keep that as brief as possible, partially because I don't know who the hell's going to be in the lineup for a little while. But with that said, we'll take a quick break and get to those now. There's trades, and then there's trades. And we are back here on Timberwolves Explosion. Segment number 2, we're going to look at some upcoming games. And, of course, we'll probably keep talking about D'Angelo Russell and all that. Obviously, the trade does improve the team, makes it more exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. In a season we've lost so many games after a promising start. It's been depressing, but obviously moves had to be made. They just had to. I mean, Covington, I don't think he wanted to be here anymore. I think that was quite obvious. The Clippers, the 8th, Will we see D'Angelo Russell on the 8th? Maybe, because I got to think the trade will be consummated by then, but who knows. We'll definitely see some of the new guys from the Covington trade by then. That's the good part about several days off here leading into Saturday. I don't think the Wolves are going to beat the Clippers though, regardless who's on the roster. But who knows? Maybe there'll be enough of a spark with the Timberwolves leading into this one. Most recently, again, the Wolves lost 118-106 to the Clippers on February the 1st. We'll wrap up the season series on April the 13th, which I would hope, everybody will be healthy and rocking and rolling by then. And looking into the next year anyway. Clippers lead the season series 2-0. I'm sure they'll win it. They'll probably wrap it up on Saturday. That would be tomorrow already, believe it or not. So maybe the trade won't be fully consummated by then. Maybe everybody won't be fully on the roster. All the physicals and all that will be ready to go. Guys will be ready. Hopefully they will be, but I'm sure the Covington trade will be 100% done. So we'll see those guys at least. We'll see Malik Beasley make its debut with the Timberwolves, who I think is going to be an exciting player for Minnesota. Clippers, obviously, championship contender. They made some interesting acquisitions again. They just keep getting better and better, and I think they'll have no problem with the Timberwolves leading into this one. Most recently, they beat the Heat pretty good, 128-111. They've won 3 games in a row, including beating Minnesota. San Antonio by 3 points on the 3rd, and the Heat pounding them pretty good most recently by 17. Pretty impressive. Of course, they lost to Sacramento pretty bad on the 30th, and the Laker game was postponed, again with the death of Kobe Bean Bryant, as we like to call him. I do believe the Clippers just continue their winning ways. The Wolves, maybe there'd be a massive spark, depending on who's on the roster and who gets hot, this and that. I just got a feeling the Clippers will probably get the job done. I just think they're a better team. They're healthy enough. They're never fully healthy, it seems like, but they're healthy enough. And I do think Kawhi Leonard and Paul George will get it done. Right now, I think the Clippers win the game by like 10, 15 points. And again, it's the old not trying to be negative. They're just a better team. And it's not a very good matchup for the Wolves, even though we've had some entertaining games with this club. They're second in the league in rebounding. The Wolves used to be a good rebounding team, but lately, I can't say the Wolves have been a good rebounding team. I mean, well, we're 11th. It's definitely dropped off over time, and I don't know, everybody's short. It's all short players except Karl Anthony Towns, so I guess he's the only guy who can play center right now, which kind of annoys the hell out of me. Clippers win by a final score of like 120 to 110, 105, 108, 120 to 108. I think the Clippers end up getting the job done and beat the Timberwolves. The way the Wolves win this game is a big spark plug. Maybe D'Angelo Russell is ready to go and he comes out with 30 and Karl comes out with 30. They combine for a nice 60 points and kick some butt and go out and win the game 125-120. But I just don't see that happening yet, and he probably won't even be ready to go. But we'll see. We'll just have to gradually move forward if humanly possible. As the Timberwolves' next game will be, I'd like to get this to load eventually, Andrew Wiggins' future team, maybe. According to some people, maybe that's where he'll play his last few seasons. The Toronto Raptors in Toronto on Monday the 10th. That's my dad's birthday and my nephew's birthday. Pretty crazy stuff. Toronto's really been, wow. I mean, they've been on a run. They've been on fire. They've been playing great basketball. Scotiabank Arena. By this point, D'Angelo Russell should be 100% suited up and ready to go, and all the members of the Timberwolves that are, new will be on board. The Timberwolves will have a better roster, at least, than we did against the Atlanta Hawks, because there was like hardly anybody suited up at that point after the Covington trade. Such a big group of players on their way out, and new players that just, the trade wasn't 100% completed yet. Pascal Siakam has become a flat-out superstar. I talked about that a couple episodes ago. Kyle Lowry is just Mr. Consistency. I always loved him with Memphis years ago, and boy, was I right about that. But he'd been a hell of a player. Of course, people called him a choke in the postseason. He overcame that last year in a big way. Fred VanVleet has had off and on little injuries pop up here and there, as have other players. A lot of guys have missed time on this team, but when they're on, they're on. 37-14, they're one of the best teams in the league, and there's no question about it. They beat the Pacers by a point recently. They've been on absolute fire. Pacers put up an awesome effort. Beat the Pacers again by only 1 point. They crushed Atlanta 130-114. Beat Cleveland 115-109. Beat Detroit 105-92. Detroit is just, I feel bad for Dwayne Casey. Crushed Chicago 129-102. So the Zach LaVine experiment continuing there. They'll play the Pacers again tonight. The Brooklyn Nets back-to-back. And then Minnesota on Feb the 10th, where we will see our full roster, I got to think, by then. Now, in fact, I'll be flat out pissed off if we don't. Looking forward to any type of press conference involving the Wolves. Maybe there will be something today. I'm not sure. I'm guessing not with D'Angelo Russell, but maybe the other group. Who knows? Maybe they'll do it all sometime. I don't know when, because the Wolves go on the road to Toronto. So I don't know how quickly we can do that. This matchup is not going to be easy. They beat the Wolves by 10 points in late January on the 18th, 122-112. Again, it's hard to say with this team. I just think Toronto's going to keep the Wolves in a losing streak. Toronto's just on fire, but maybe the Wolves pull a rabbit out of their hat and end Toronto's winning streak and end our losing streak at the same time. But as of right now, I mean, we're talking the Clippers in Toronto here. It's not me just saying, the Wolves suck. They're going to lose every game. We're playing Toronto and the Clippers. These are first-place teams here that are awesome. First-place caliber, actually. I guess the Clippers aren't in first in the Pacific Division because who's going to be? But Toronto's just dominating. They've passed the Boston Celtics now. That's how hot they've been. So, I mean, it's no joke. It's simply no joke with how well Toronto has played this season. It's been quite a run. It's like you want to just look at the standings overall. Just to prolong this show even more, I apologize. They're still 7 games behind the Bucks, which is crazy. But remember who won that series last year. 12-game winning streak for Toronto. I think they continue it. Something like a 10, 15-point win over the Minnesota Timberwolves on Monday. But at least you'll get to see D'Angelo Russell. Maybe he'll get his 20 to 25 in the game. Carl will do this, will do that. Can't talk about Andrew Wiggins going back to Toronto anymore. They'll be talking about that in Golden State. We'll see what happens with that. Maybe he'll be Maple Jordan there. But at first, he's going to be the third option, maybe over time, though, because he's significantly younger than the other guys. He'll take a bigger role with the Golden State Warriors, maybe the number 2 or number 1 guy, if he truly does become a legitimate player like he was supposed to be coming out of the draft years ago. Los Angeles Lakers, yeah, they've been mediocre lately, and the Clippers are only 2.5 games behind them in the Western Conference. So, and they made the adjustment. So if you win the division, but you're like 10 games worse than the second place team in the other division, you're not going to have the number 2 seed anymore. You might wind up with the 4th seed. It's all about winning percentage now in the Western Conference, Eastern Conference. Clippers absolutely earning it. Luckily for the Nuggets, though, they're super close anyway. They'll be the 3rd seed, only by a half game behind the Clippers. That's how good the Denver Nuggets are, and a big reason why I'm uncomfortable playing them. Timberwolves have lost 13 in a row. I think it gets to 15. But it will end against a team that's definitely worse than us at home in Target Center. This is the night when D'Angelo Russell gets his 35, maybe. Karl Anthony Towns gets 35 also. I mean, we're going to see like a 70-point combination between these guys. I got a feeling it's going to be a fun night. We're playing against a team that's actually got one more win than us. But I got to think the Hornets are worse than the Timberwolves right now, despite a pretty nice roster. It's a crying shame how bad the Hornets are. The Wolves crushed them by 22 points way back on October 25th. I don't even want to look at the numbers now because it's a totally different team. It's hard to analyze where things are going to head with these teams now because, I think the Wolves got better. I think the roster turnover is a good thing. Certain big men weren't even getting any playing time, and I can't imagine that was healthy in the locker room. Can't imagine it was. To me, there's just, it's not like it's no excuse, but then again, it is no excuse. This is going to be like a homecoming game for the Timberwolves. You know how the homecoming game, Hopkins, Royals, whatever, you get the idea. And you play against a team that's probably not as good as you, usually. That's usually what you want to do. And then let's roll. It's going to be a pep fest for the Minnesota Timberwolves. This will probably be D'Angelo Russell's debut. I don't think it's going to be in Target Center on Saturday. Certain other players will be, but I do believe this will be the debut of D'Angelo Russell in Target Center. And it's going to be it's going to be an exciting night on Wednesday the 12th, leading into this one. It's going to be a very fun night. Wednesday, Feb the 12th. Again, the Wolves crushed the Charlotte Hornets, and I think we end up the season sweep over the Hornets. We can say we swept somebody. We swatted the Hornet. We swatted the Hornet. We poisoned their nest. Yeah, we poisoned their nest. Or took a big giant Super Soaker 2000 to it. We blew it out of the we blew it off the canopy so it wasn't stinging people anymore. That type of thing. It's just how it goes at the end of the day. Charlotte doesn't score a whole lot of points. They don't rebound. Their field goal percentage is slightly worse than ours, which is funny. We're both at the bottom of the league. Free throw percentage is slightly worse than ours. And three-point percentage is a little bit better, which is funny because we're the best three-point shooting team in the league at 29th and 32.5%, but hopefully that'll improve greatly. I think there will be a coming-out party for the Timberwolves. It's going to be like 125 to 105. The Wolves are going to beat the Hornets by 20. I think D'Angelo and Carl both go for 30-plus in the game. He combined for up to 70 points in the game. Maybe somebody gets 40 in the game. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll be a 30 and 40 type of effort. But I do believe the Wolves have a coming-out party and beat the Hornets pretty good in this one. And put it this way, if they don't, if they come out slack-a-daisical and get to 16 losses in a row, unless some other surprise win along the way against the Clippers or the Raptors, which I highly doubt at this point. But if this isn't like a coming-out party for D'Angelo and Carl, I don't know what else you need. I mean, this is a golden opportunity to have some fun and get the fan base excited about something. Even though the win-loss record sucks, the losing streak sucks, and all that, the chances to make the playoffs are 1 in 1,000 or whatever. But yeah, at least get the fans excited about something, because there's always next year, which we all hate saying. But hey, when guys are still in their early 20s, still got a chance to consummate something here. And of course, flexibility leading into the summer. So it'll be an exciting night for Minnesota on Wednesday, Feb 12th, when D'Angelo gets 30-plus in the game. Everybody's going to be quite excited and quite happy about that one. So there you go. Wolves go 1-2 and finally end the losing streak versus a team that's probably worse than us, but still a nice little coming-out party for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Nonetheless, with that said, we're going to get to a busy fan interaction segment. This show is just going to keep on rolling. And we are back here on Timberwolves Explosion Fan Interaction segment. Going to be a long show, but, we're at the third segment, so it shouldn't be too much longer. We'll see what happens, right? Hope you're enjoying it so far, and then, again, a very exciting time for the Timberwolves. Going to get some fans in the seats. Again, the TV ratings will go up. Yeah, I've said that like 16 times, but hey, that's basically what's happening with the club right now. It's going to help. This team needed this jump start, and hopefully it's something that lasts. It's not just a bleeping sugar high, because we've been through that with many teams in this town. Like, we get this big old sugar high, we're all excited, and then, what happens to sugar highs? They wear off, and yay, and then you're pissed off afterward. So most recently, again, the Timberwolves Explosion show finally got on iHeartRadio. That's like about a 2-week process getting on iHeartRadio. You put the application in, and it just kind of sits. It's the old waiting game. And then I put that little post up there. Levi Brown says, Levi Brown out of New Zealand says, thank you for all the options. Now, listen to the last episode on Spotify. Spotify's awesome. So it seems like the show downloads faster on Spotify. But, if you like Apple, you like Google Podcasts, there's all the options there for you. That was actually on the Facebook page. I made a mistake. But, hey, it's on iHeartRadio, and might as well mention that. I want to thank Tanae and Levi Brown out of New Zealand, Vince Germano out of Australia, from Melbourne. Again, he's also on a show on the Courtside Podcast with Wayne Hunt, who's from Sydney, Stu Benson from Sydney, and of course, again, Vince Germano from Melbourne, Australia. They do an awesome show. Vince and Stu are Laker fans, and Mr. Wayne Hunt, the alpha dog of the show, the main host, so to speak, is a Memphis fan, and he just got Gorgui Gieng. He's not happy with Tyus Jones. I'm sure he'll be happy with Gorgui, but we'll see. Crazy things happen. I know he's not happy about the loss of Jay Crowder, though. So I feel for you there. It always sucks losing a player you like, and I feel that way about Gorgui. So it's sad to see him go. We'll see how James Johnson winds up with the Timberwolves here. Hopefully he brings some of that toughness that this team needs in a big way. If he needs to box somebody's face out, including Karl-Anthony Towns, so be it. Go ahead and box him out if you have to. Tanae Brown, I've never seen him this frustrated, and I understand 101,000% with Tanae Brown right now. 100,000%, if that made any sense. He says, blow it up. Everything. Everyone should be on the block this offseason. Well, apparently everyone was on the block except Carl and Josh Okogie. And who knows, maybe Josh Okogie was even mentioned in trades. Probably Carl's name got brought up too in some of these trade ideas. Of course he did. Of course people called and at least asked. And then Gerson said, nope. Basically, like, nope, he's not on the trade block. Okogie could have been named, you never know, but he wasn't. And of course Culver, I guess, did stick around as well, which is nice. But, obviously Jake Layman did too. I don't think you can trade him with that toe injury. Levi Brown. This is after both me and Levi liked his post. Levi Brown liked Tanae's post. Levi says, we need to we need to try starting Gorgui at center and move Cat to power forward. And that's what I'm saying, man. 100%, Levi. We've seen Gorgui can play great as a starter, and nothing's wrong. What am I doing? And nothing's working with Cat at the moment, so may as well try something different. Feels like no end in sight to this losing streak, and it sure has felt that way. This is a couple of days ago. In fact, this was right about the same time of the Covington trade. I do believe when Tanay posted on Feb 5th, the Covington trade hadn't happened yet. Gorgui was still on the roster when Levi posted on Feb 6th, and I would not have minded doing that. Right now, I don't think there's a player on the roster we can do that. Unfortunately, we can move to center and put Carl at power forward. We had Gorgui. That's the crappy part about trading Gorgui away. But it's cap flexibility. That's a sign that maybe the Wolves will go after a starting center or something. Hopefully. Somebody big who can plug the middle, who maybe doesn't have to get the ball a whole lot. But we'll have to wait and see. But I think that's what they got to do. That is absolutely what they got to do. It'll make the team better. It'll make the team better overnight, and I'm going to keep saying it. I'm glad we're of like mind, Levi. He shares a tweet from Dane Moore. Says, second longest tenure Timberwolf behind Karl Anthony Towns, Josh Okogie. That's crazy. So now Carl is the Yoda in the room, which is Yoda and Carl. I don't think you could ever put that in the same sentence with the way he's been. He's more like Anakin right now, and I hate saying that. Boy, do I hate saying that. I don't want you to be Anakin, Carl. Don't go the Anakin route. Don't do it. Please don't go that route. But so far this year, it's not been going the Luke direction, even though Luke had a checkered story along the way as well. At Wolves Explosions is a Twitter account. Thank you guys so much for being involved, and the involvement continues. Levi again on the iHeartRadio congratulating me there. Thank you. Facebook.com/Timberwolves Explosion. Facebook.com/Timberwolves Explosion. I'll go to a visitor post real quick, and then I'm going to jump back and forth because there's the big one from Wayne Hunt later in the afternoon. But we'll do the one first. He goes, question. What if you woke up in the morning and Cat was traded? What would be your initial reaction, and what would you expect in return? The new GM has seen where the team has been headed. He's a smart guy. Surely a rebuild isn't totally out of the question. Thoughts? Well, it's definitely changing the entire roster was definitely the plan. This must have been right before the Covington trade. It must have been. Or right about that. Yeah, it had to be, because Feb the 5th was the Covington trade, if I remember correctly. That was pretty crazy. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was like the day before. So that's why I thought maybe Carl's the next guy to get traded. And some people actually thought he might have gotten traded yesterday. Who knows? I'm sure his name was brought up. Not from us, but from the outside sources hoping to get him. Wayne Hunt then posted a very green picture of Karl Anthony Towns wearing a Celtic jersey, which, who knows? Who knows? That could have happened, right? You never know. What would I have thought? Well, let's go back in time a bit to when D'Angelo Russell had not been acquired yet. It's one of those situations where it would have been like kind of it is what it is. That would have been my feeling. They would have came to the conclusion it's not working out. He's not happy here. We don't really seem to have this or that. We don't have a path to success by building around Karl Anthony Towns properly. We can't trade Wiggins. We can't trade this guy. We can't make a move. Wiggins doesn't seem to get better, this and that. Nobody wants Wiggins. Oh, woe is us. It would have been that kind of situation. So I would have basically just said it is what it is. What would I have expected in return? Multiple first-round picks. Some young players, if possible, and one guy who's, I'd like to get a big center in return of some sort, something like that. At least somebody who's a name, maybe a D'Angelo Russell type of a name, somebody around that level to go along with draft picks and that. You have to expect that. At least one first-round pick, protected or not, whatever it is. If it's 2 first-round picks, protected. If it's 1 first-round pick, I'd say just top 3 protected. Like if you're the 5th pick in the draft, we still get it. It would have to be something along those lines if you only get 1 first-rounder. But if it's 2, then fine, lottery protected, whatever. At least you get multiple picks. And a significant player of some sorts. And then the spare parts, kibbles and bits. Plus, if Carl was traded, there'd be kibbles and bits mixed into that trade as well from our end, which, of course, always takes place, depending on how many people get traded away. So we'll get back to his major post on the at about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, 2 o'clock this time in the United States, different in Australia, obviously. Several hour difference there. This is something I would have gotten into if there was time for it, but it's basically Glenn Taylor sued for being rich asshole by Kevin McHale and others. Basically, it was kind of a big bully business move, kind of that big businessmen make sometimes, where it's kind of mafia-like a little bit, where, oh, you're going to fire my daughter-in-law? Oh, really? Okay, well, guess what I'm going to do? I have enough money to invest enough in this company, I can take full control of it, run you into the bleeping ground, and oh, guess what? She's going to be right back in the same job as before. In fact, maybe even a promotion. So na boo boo. That's basically what he did. He ran the team. It was a health business into the ground, basically, which was pretty messed up. It's pretty messed up stuff. Kevin McHale was, believe it or not, involved with that company. He was a major investor in that company. So that's where the rich asshole thing is. Why you title the headline that way? It's kind of silly. It makes it look like jargon, like an Onion article, but I guess that's what rich assholes do sometimes. They literally, that's how guys do business sometimes. They kind of roll in and they bully their way to the top because they have the means to do so. That's basically what it is. Tanae Brown says, everyone said it, but this team won't succeed with this peanut running it, from Tanae Brown. I agree, and yes, you can tell Tanae's different lately, and I don't disagree with him. I'm frustrated too. It's horrible. Before the D'Angelo Russell trade, this would have been a really angry show. Are you kidding me? Do you know how angry this show would have been? So the D'Angelo Russell trade has definitely lightened things a little bit temporarily. We'll see what happens. If there is a spark plug and things go in the right direction, so be it. So then again, Snub Towns won't be in the All-Star game, and he's basically like, oh, I've been disrespected forever. There's nothing new. Nothing new. Yeah, I've been disrespected since I came in the league. Yeah, Just kind of, I don't know, just kind of side remarks that a lot of people didn't like in this town. And it just keeps happening. It's not just one comment here and there. It's just like stuff that never ends. And it's frustrating to everybody. I was literally saying he's becoming a nuisance. Wayne Hunt says, I don't get his attitude. He sat out a heap of games after their hot start. The team has lost so many games since his return. And check out the team's defensive numbers since his return. Yeah, pathetic, right? Like dead last in the league. And dead last in the league before, too. Superstars are supposed to make their teams better, not pout about a popularity contest. Get a grip, Townsend. That's all the All-Star game is. Just like awards in the workplace most of the time. It's just a bleeping popularity contest. It's annoying and frustrating, but you move on. When you see somebody who doesn't deserve it, get it. Nothing inside there, right? When you see somebody who doesn't deserve it get some kind of award, and other people are freaking pissed off because, well, they kick the other person's ass any day of the week. But that's how it is. Popularity contest. Though I don't think Carl did deserve to make it, regardless. I was saying I've long been getting flack for the guy is all talk, for saying the guy is all talk, because it's turning out he really is. It's got to stop. Yeah, like the whole thing about, I'm tired of losing and we're going to be so much better. I'm going to make sure of it. And it's like, well, then go ahead and do it. Talk is cheap. And then people went after me on a certain Facebook page. I won't name it, but you can probably guess which one. They're like, yeah, Cat sucked last year, getting all sarcastic at me. And it's like, first of all, I never said he sucked. But all this endless talk and drama isn't making the team better, and it's not making him any better either. It's not impressing me, for one, as a veteran basketball fan who's been watching for about 30 years. It's not impressing me at all. It's just talk. Just bleeping go on and play. You don't need to do all the drama. Wayne Hunt says 100. I would not be surprised if he demands a trade down the line. Forget the nickname Cat. I'm going to start calling him Katrina, and I don't blame you at all. I was saying I never call him Cat. It's overrated anyway, and I think Katrina is more accurate, and that's what it's been lately. Just too much complaining. Absolutely. Well, he won't demand a trade now, but he was going to. He was going to if this trade didn't happen, this massive trade. This is when all the rumors were spiraling around and blah, blah, blah. They were just, spinning around all over the place. Tanae Brown says, Wolves got to move on this one. He'll be available come the offseason. Sounds like Golden State wants to see how the team runs at full strength with him, that being him being D'Angelo Russell. Can't get tunnel vision. I hope they're exploring other avenues. And yes, well, they definitely were pursuing this guy, and they definitely went that direction. So that multi-team Houston-Atlanta thing ended up not including D'Angelo Russell, and then the Wolves went up doing it one-on-one with Golden State the next couple of days. So pretty cool, pretty exciting at the end of the day. So as I get a sip of coffee here. and move forward. So, gotta love that chocolate wonder. Good stuff. Caribou, yep. It's a free plug, I guess. What the hell? Chocolate wonder's good stuff, man. There it is, the 4-team trade. Covington, Clint Capella, blah, 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 blah. Woj bomb, Woj bomb, Woj bomb, Woj bomb. Yes. Woj bomb alert. 15 comments and most relevant. Yeah, no, all comments. Even though mine aren't relevant, right? Because I'd rather hear from you guys. I was saying, for lack of better words, I think Atlanta's just going to be awesome in the next couple of years. Clint Capella, yep. I was saying it looks like something else is brewing because there is only one point guard on the... Okay, let's start over. It looks like something else is brewing because there is only one point guard on the roster. Hint, hint. Well, was I right or was I right? That's all I got to say about that. It was like, duh. It was super obvious, wasn't it? That something else was brewing. Janae Brown says, we'll find out soon enough. I heard whispers a while ago that Dennis Smith Jr. was Plan B, which I'm not excited about. But we wouldn't have to give up the farm for him at least. And luckily, the Wolves didn't really give up the farm for D'Angelo Russell, which is the most surprising thing. And that's where Gerson Rosas comes out looking damn good after this trade. I mean, amazing. He looks really good after this trade. And the couple trades, you could actually say. Wayne Hunt, replying back to your Janae Brown, says, talent-wise, it's not bad. Has he just been misunderstood so far in his career, or does his attitude stink? That's being Dennis Smith Jr. I'd give him a chance. If the Wolves are not going to be competitive, then they might as well be fun to watch. And that's going to happen now. And who knows? You get the right pieces, and it just might all click. And sometimes it does. It might just all click. Janae Brown responds with, I wish we could make a trade for some winning talent. The last couple months, I've had so many Butler was right moments. Oh, yes. Yes, you have, and I have too. Oh, man. Let's see. Butler was right moments. Would be nice to see Smith come in with a chip on his shoulder and just go out and ball. At least if we're fun to watch, I might make it to the end of the game watching because it's been a while. Yep. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yep. And Wayne Hunt wraps up this segment. At least I think so. Oh, there is more. It's just this little segment with him and Tanae. Wayne Hunt says, man, I applaud you guys for sticking with your team through thick and thin. It's not easy, but it's that much better when they turn it around. I agree with both you and Vince Germano. Butler was dead right about the Wolves' young stars, but he was also a dick the way he went around it. Yes, he was. But knowing where Butler came from, he's always been a straight shooter and backed himself. Outside looking in, I think writing's on the wall for the Wolves. At least it was, and now we'll see what happens. Great thoughts, guys. We're going to keep this moving. It does keep moving. That's for darn sure. Yep, this was after the... I was saying I just wish we were the ones getting Clint Capella. Wayne Hunt says, you are going to love Malik Beasley. I actually really wanted him on the Grizz for a while, and I don't blame you. He's going to be interesting. I think he's intriguing, and he's only 23. Wayne Hunt responds back again to me, says, you got to start the kid. And I think so. I think he'll be the starting shooting guard as soon as possible. Hopefully as soon as mañana, or should we say tomorrow, against the Clippers at Target Center. I hope he does start. I hope so. Janae Brown starts this little bit here with, thank you, front office, for not giving up everything to get D'Lo. And no, they didn't, because little did we know what was still coming. But they did not give up everything to get D'Lo. I saw some speculation it was going to cost Wiggins, Okogie, and an unprotected first. We've got some decent talent back there. Looking forward to seeing these new guys playing, especially Beasley, and me too. And that's the cool part again. When the Wolves did get D'Lo, as we like to call him, you didn't have to give up Culver or Okogie. The draft pick is protected only to number 3, though. So it is kind of unprotected, unfortunately. But it's next year, and hopefully the Timberwolves are significantly better. This year would have been a big bummer because I think the Wolves are going to be top 5, probably. In fact, I hope they are top 5. I hope that we don't move way down one way or another. Like teams move past us and blah, blah, blah. Of course, we don't want that, but I don't know. It'd be good to get some energy going, but also it'd be nice to get another guy, maybe who's better than Culver, who plays a bigger position. I think the Wolves desperately need to get a center. Now, we don't have to worry about point guard. Shooting guard, I think we're okay. If there's a spectacular shooting guard there who's a can't miss, I get it. But I think we're just fine. You still got Culver. But if it's a small forward or a center who is, clearly the best player available, you got to take him, baby. especially if it's a bigger guy who can block shots at the center position. Take a bleeping center and start the guy with alongside Towns. Kyle Fisher, who's local here, and on other pages like Flips Army and stuff, he says, all seriousness though, Joey, we should just wait and see where the ping pong balls land now. And I agree with that, and it's going to be fun. I think that's going to be fun to see. I was saying this season is toast, no doubt about it, and I hope and pray that we can land the right guy in the draft. He was saying point guard issue just got even worse. Yep, and I was like thinking, what does he mean? Because that was before I saw that Shabazz Napier was traded in the deal. That was actually slightly before. That's what made me jump to it. And then I started looking. I'm like, oh my god, something's up. That was when I first posted, like, there's no point guard hardly, and something's going to happen. So here's the actual thread of the trade. Boom. About 21 hours ago now at this time. Warriors trade D'Angelo Russell to Timberwolves. Got some reaction. Sebastian Barton responds with, more importantly, Wiggins is finally gone. Yeah, Wiggins is finally gone, all right. Not a whole lot we can do about that now, huh? So the threads continue, because I know there's going to be a ton more D'Angelo conversations still coming up. It'll mostly be in Wayne's thread, which is totally fine. I appreciate that Wayne was able to do that. I was saying, posted the report, James Johnson headed to Minnesota in exchange for Gorgui Gieng from Heat Nation, a 3-team trade. I was saying how 7 people were gone now in the last couple of days, not including Teague and Trevion Graham, which makes it a whopping 9-player exodus for the Timberwolves. Levi Brown says, I'm always sad when long-tenured Wolves are traded. I'll really miss Wiggins and Gorgui, but obviously we needed to make some big changes, and yes, they did. And good thoughts there, Levi. Yep, yes, they did. They absolutely needed to do that. So, I wonder if I could actually get to it here. I thought I could. It was moving, and then it stopped. That doesn't make any sense. So I'll load it here. Here we go. So, Wayne Hunt will wrap up the fan interaction segment with a doozy of a thread here. He says, well, the Timberwolves finally got him. Love the changes for the franchise. It was just time to move on from what was clearly a roster that wasn't working. I think you will come around on D'Angelo Russell, even despite the paycheck, because he knows I didn't like that $30 million. I don't like it, but we'll see. And if it gets Cat into gear, it's a trade worth doing. Yes, and it does, again, for the 17th time, it does get the fans in the seats and everything. Yeah, so, yep, that's absolutely true. I can't disagree with anything you said there at the end of the day. And, of course, the other players acquired were Amari Spellman. And what was the other guy? We'll get back to him in a little bit. But should be an intriguing couple of additions to the Minnesota Timberwolves here coming up at the end of the day. It's, it is what it is. Amari Spellman, I know one of them. It was Evans was the guard, and then Spellman was the guy that I like, the bigger guy who could actually possibly be an intriguing up. Jacob Evans was the guard. But Spellman, I think he could be something. He's only 22. I wish he was a tiny bit taller, but he's a big, bulky guy, at least. He's just not real tall. Maybe he could still plug the middle a teeny bit for Carl. So, Wayne Hunt was asking, what can I expect out of Gorgui? Because, of course, again, the Memphis Grizzlies got him. I was basically saying definitely a professional, good solid defense, can shoot the 3 now. I like him a lot, definitely gives a lot of effort. Tenney Brown responds with, he's that old grit and grind Grizz player, I think. Solid defensively and will play his part. Great attitude and sounds like a good locker room guy, as they'll hold players accountable. He tried you with the Wolves, but too many were lost. Wayne Hunt responds to him with, I just think it was a shame he didn't get solid minutes. Yeah, man. Like Joey Wygen said on the show, he always produces when he gets the minutes. He will be a fantastic backup for JJ and Big Val. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting there. Wayne Hunt continues in a new thread within the thread, as they say. He says, this is the roster overhaul the Wolves needed. No more excuses from Cat. It's got to be business from here till the end of the season, and of course, many years from now as well. Need to build for something special next season. Thibs' roster is finally dispersed, and I think this is the best 1-2 punch Minnesota has had since KG and Marbury. Time to prove Butler wrong. KG and Marbury. Yeah, man, good memories there. Too bad it was so short. Hopefully it's not short this time. Tanae responds with, I think Butler has already been proven right. Thus the need for the massive overhaul with the laughing face. But yeah, the Wolves need to play at least 500 ball for the rest of the season. These pups have been brought up as losers
have been bought up as losers. They got to start learning what it feels like to win. I'm really interested to see how this roster plays now. This must be somewhat close to what Rosas wanted this offseason. Yeah, I think so. I assume they wanted to keep Wiggins, but he got his guy in D'Lo, him being Towns. Let's see how sound our system goes with this lot now.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I have is, again, most of the guys aren't spectacular three-point shooters, but they're better. So maybe we can get the percentage up a little bit. And, well, maybe via the draft, who knows? Maybe with that mid-round pick, mid-first-round pick from the Nets, maybe you can get a three-point specialist somewhere along the way. And with the upper pick, who knows? Maybe the three-point specialist is in the high pick, and then the slightly lower pick will be the big bruising center. So I think you got to get a nice shooter and a big bruising center. That's what you got to get. Plain and simple. Easier said than done, but it's got to get done. Wayne Hunt responds with, couldn't agree more, love the combo of D'Lo, Beasley, Towns. And yes, including Beasley in there. I can't disagree with that. And yes, Tanae Brown mentions something that's been going on. The men mentioned the last couple of days. Trust the process. The process, like trust the process with the Philadelphia 76ers is process, like Rosas, yes. Tanae Brown says, holy crap. Wayne Hunt says, holy crap, I nearly fell out of my seat laughing. Yep, he loved it. And now they show Karl Anthony Towns. Wayne Hunt shows Karl Anthony Towns holding a Russell jersey. I wonder if that's a real photo or photoshopped. Because these days you never know. If that's real, that's funny and that's cool. Wayne Hunt loving that one. Tanae responds with hope that Diva sorts his shit out. And I hope he does too. I hope he does sort it out. It's frustrating. Randy Santana, says they forgot one important factor. Glenn Taylor selling the team. Watch history repeat itself until that happens. And I hope not, but I understand your fears, Randy Santana. Thanks, and nice to hear from you again, Randy. Nice to hear from you again. You're welcome to post as much as you can, as much as you want. That would be awesome to have you on board again on the page. Because it is a fear. It's definitely a fear with Glenn Taylor still owning the team. I do hope he steps away soon. God bless him. He seems like a nice guy to talk basketball with, but sounds like as a businessman is pretty much what you'd expect. You know, it's guys that make billions of dollars usually aren't very nice to everyone as they go on their way up, as they climb the ladder. They're not usually nice to people on their way up. That's just how it is. I mean, that's business. Business is business. That's why they call it cutthroat. That's just reality. With that said, this has been a doozy and a cutthroat of a show. Cutthroat in terms of trade him, get him out of here, whoever it is. It was a cutthroat type of week. But it happened. And Gerson Rosas deserves a ton of credit for his creativity, along with his collaboration with other people in the front office. The assistant GM, the trade machine master, and not assistant GM, but vice president of basketball, and then the trade GM, the trade machine master brought on board as well to make the creativity happen. You can tell there was collaboration going on, and they did a hell of a job. I'm sure Ryan Saunders is very much involved as well with frustrations of certain players not, reaching their potential. A certain guy that he got really frustrated with just about a week ago was, Andrew Wiggins, of course. But God bless Andrew moving forward into Golden State. Wish him all the success in the world. Just don't want the Warriors to win too much. Maybe he can bring some of that humble pie to a certain point guard wearing number 30. That would be nice. Bring a little bit of that humble pie you have, Andrew, to Steph Curry. That'd be cool. You could both kind of help each other. Curry can help you have a little more, like go out and kick some ass attitude, that type of thing. Maybe a chip on your shoulder on the court a little more. But you can also give him a little bit of that humble pie in return. That would be nice. That'd be a fair trade, I think. At the end of the day, I think we could all like to see Steph Curry be a little bit more humble once in a blue moon, other than just doing interviews, I suppose, which he's kind of friendly there. He seems like a nice guy when he's not on the court, actually. But with that said, it is what it is. It's been long. I've talked enough. I've enjoyed every minute of it, despite the fact it's a lot of information. It's a little bit of an overload because it's so many players. I'm sure my wife's tired of hearing me, but it is what it is. It's okay. But it is what it is. It's been a blast of a show. It's this is why we do podcasts for days like this. This is why we do podcasts, and I couldn't wait to get the heck out of work yesterday because it was like right as the workday was starting, all this happened. And it's like, seriously, now I'm stuck for 10 long hours of work. But that's life, that's life. Sometimes it's not like I'm going to call in and say, oh, sorry, Timberwolves made a big trade. I'm not coming. So it is what it is. Luckily, we're able to get this done. and bring to you my opinions and get to hear yours as well. Thank you so much for all your involvement with the show to help consummate a hell of a 90-minute episode, which is pretty much where this is heading here in the next couple of seconds. Going to pass on some contact details. Of course, gave the shout out to the Courtside podcast. Highly recommended. You got to listen to that. Of course, again, at Wolves Explosions is the Twitter account. Facebook.com / Timberwolves Explosions is the Facebook page. PaladinoLive@yahoo.com is the email address when you want to do a audio submission. Basically, use any smart device on the planet. There's a voice recording application that's on every smart device on the planet. Just open it, click record, talk, treat it like a phone call, hit stop, and then save it and email it to PaladinoLive@yahoo.com, which I will then convert it into an MP3 file, thanks to Zamzar.com, who does it to me for free, does it for me for free because it's a small enough file. And then, well, that's great. If you want to convert a much larger file, there's a subscription, monthly fee, that type of thing. More than happy to give them a free plug because they give me a very valuable free service when it comes to this show, and especially Purple Mafia. Come on, guys, call in. Let's get some audio submissions going. I want to hear what you have to say. I know Vince Germano's got a lot on his mind about something. He didn't share with me what it was, but maybe if you don't want to share that particular thing, you can share something else, whatever it is. Because there's a lot to talk about. D'Angelo Russell, maybe Kobe, maybe something completely different. Cat, maybe Jimmy Butler, whatever it is. Love to hear from any of you. That could please do that if you're willing to make the time and do that. If not, I understand you're busy. Maybe you don't want to say too much, whatever it is. But if you're willing to, we'd love to hear from you. Final thing, please write a positive rating for Timberwolves Explosion on Apple Podcasts / iTunes, whatever it is, or whatever other application that allows you to write reviews for individual shows. Would greatly appreciate if you would do that. And then when I see it, I will bring it up and thank you on air. Thank you very kindly on air. Unless you don't want me to do that, just let me know. But with that said, hope to hear from you on Twitter, Facebook, audio submission, whatever it is. And God bless. Go Timberwolves, and let's go. Let's have some fun.